authentic and natural English.
All right. Are we recording? We are. Hi, everybody. Okay. So, one of the things that really helped me throughout my journey learning to speak English as a second language was really the analysis of lyrics, repetition of songs as well. So I decided to bring some of that to the YouTube channel. And today we're going to be studying What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. So we're going to cover some topics. First one, we will be talking about compound complex sentences. We have collocations with the verb make, the use of the phrasal verb turns out, and we're also going to talk about connected speech and how this song can help you in your English journey as well. So let's get started. We are going to be seeing each topic under the pillars that we have on Second Nature English, which is my online English school. The 4 pillars of our courses are sounds, words, rules, and communication. So starting here with some background information about the song What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. So in case you don't know, so the song was released in 2023 and then it was part of the movie soundtrack, the movie Barbie. Very popular movie. The song itself won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, Best Original Song in the Golden Globes as well, and also it got the Grammys for Song of the Year. So yeah, it was like a very, very big song. I still listen to it quite a bit today. In that particular case, I'm trying not to spoilers. No spoilers. That's not what we want. But this is pretty much the protagonist of the story has always lived with a certain truth about themselves. They had a certain image of themselves and a certain vision of the world. And then once this character becomes curious about something that is external to their reality in that particular sense, something pivotal changes within them, and that's reflected in the case of Barbie with the heels, that their feet were always on the tiptoes, and then when pretty much they become grounded, it's very metaphorical, and at the same time it really brings us to some deep philosophical questions, specifically here talking about what is it that we are here, because when we go sometimes to the process of education and we have a certain vision of the world and then we learn different facts, sometimes just the fact that we learn something different may mean that a lot of the identity that we built ourselves upon, they also go into a reinvention of themselves. Some things like that. Very philosophical, introspective, but still the lyrics of the song are somewhat built with simple grammar devices that really bring that kind of message forward. So, an awesome song. If you've never heard it, pause this video, listen to it, come back. And in this particular case, these are the parts that we're going to be looking at. So we have there, I used to know, but I'm not sure now. What I was made for. What was I made for? First thing that I noticed when I was listening to it, I was like, interesting. The first that we have that sentence, what I was made for, and then right immediately after that, we have it slightly changed to what was I made for with a question mark. So what's up with that? We're going to take a look at that. We also have that collocation made for and how that brings a lot of meaning to the song as well. And also there when we have taking a drive, I was an ideal, look so alive, turns out I'm not real, just something you paid for, and then we repeat, what was I made for? So let's take a look first, starting with sounds. We want to talk about 4 different components that I find interesting about this song in particular. The first one is how we have the schwa in the sound of was, which makes it to be almost like a drop sound in the context of the intonation of the song, which is something that really helps us when we are thinking about speaking English and how we tend to focus on content words and sometimes some other sounds are going to be dropped. So in this case, it's important this is a good example for us to pay attention to that. Helps with smooth, natural pronunciation. And then we also have the idea of linking sounds. When we pay attention to how we speak, it's important that we connect sounds. We think about the phrase construction and which sounds needs to be connected to what more naturally connects to what. There are some rules that you can learn from our course, Speaking English Clearly, that you can go onto our website, secondnatureenglish.ca. So this is a good example for that as well. Another thing that I really like about the song is how we have elongated vowels. So some languages don't necessarily use the duration of a vowel to express any types of ideas. In the case of English, we do have short vowels, long vowels. So this is a good way for you to practice keeping those vowels or speaking sustaining sounds as you have to. So also a good type of song for you to practice. So this song can help you improve fluency and also your connected speech cues. Finally, we have this part of the intonation and also the stress patterns when we're talking about what is it that we're going to emphasize when we say a sentence. So in this particular case, the way that we separate the for and how we are doing the intonation of the entire question, what was I made for, really brings the emotional punch that the song is really about. So it's very interesting how they use language and how you connect the sounds to really show an idea of introspection, a moment that a lot of what you thought to be true is no longer true about yourself, and you question what is it that you are here. Which brings us to words. So thinking about how this song can help us with the understanding of vocabulary and phrasal verbs, we can think about the collocations that we can use with the verb to make. So depending on the preposition that you use, you are basically giving a different meaning to what you are communicating. So in the particular case of the song, what was I made for? In this case, purpose. In the case, if we want to connect an action or an idea after the made for, it's important that we use gerund. So if you look at the examples there, shoes are made for running. So this will be the case here in what was I made for, indicating the purpose. What is my purpose? So if we think about other ways that we have to connect the verb make, we have there made of, indicating the basic material. In this case, in the example, a chair made of wood. We also have there made for, in the case of transformed material. Wine is made from grapes. We can talk about the place of origin if we connect with made in. We can talk about who created something if we have made by. So made in Korea for place of origin, made by my friend, talking about who created it. And then we have the made for and made to. In the case of made to, they can be somewhat similar in what we're trying to express, but the collocation and how it's structured is different. Made for, we are connecting with gerund. Made to, we are connecting with infinitive. So in this particular case, it's the intention or what is the design that is made to do with that particular object. So shoes in this case, made for running or made to last forever. So these are the different ways that we can have to not necessarily think about the word by word construction of sentences and vocabulary, but more how the groups of words have very specific meanings. And this is how we can use the song What Was I Made For? And the understanding of the meaning of made for can really help us with our English fluency. Now, let's go into rules and talk about grammar. And this one, sit tight, get some pen and paper, and let's get started. So looking at the rules and the grammar of parts of this, the lyrics of this song, we're going to start with the name of the song. What was I made for? In this case, what we call this is an object question. So a question is going to be an object question when you're asking about the object of the verb. So if I say the sentence, I opened the door, the verb here is open, the subject of the verb is I, the object of the verb is the door, right? So if I want to ask the question, to collect the information, the door, I would say, what does he open? He opens the door. So in this particular case, an object question asks for the object of the verb. And we're usually going to have the structure that we have a question word, some kind of a helping verb, an auxiliary verb, the subject, and then the main verb. Pretty much reflecting what we have here in what was I made for. Now, have a little bit of a challenge for you. here. From number 1 to number 5, we have statements, and I would like you to create object questions to ask about the object of the verb. So, she bought a new book. They ate pizza for lunch. He watched the movie last night. I saw him at the party. We need more information. Now, in this particular case, how would you write these statements as object questions? Write them down as a comment here today or whenever you're watching the video, and I will be posting you some discounts in our Second Nature English, our online English school. So that's the first part that we're taking a look at. When we're thinking about the definition of what that is, so what was I made for? That's an object question. We can also call it a direct question as well, but we're not studying that particular topic today. So let's take a look at the second part, when this is almost the same when we talk about this construction here. So we have here, I used to know, but I'm not sure now, what was I made for? Okay, so when we analyze it, we're going to look at this whole chunk together. This is one sentence. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. Did I say that right before? Did I invert it? I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But the main focus here is the fact that when we look there, what I was made for, what was I made for? So we have the was and the I inverting positions. Why is it that this happens? So the first thing that we need to analyze here is the type of sentence that we have. So if you take a look at the key concepts here, the first thing that we want to think about is that we have 4 types of English sentences: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Okay? In this particular case, we're looking at a compound complex sentence. Why? Well, we have I used to know, which is an independent clause. So we have there the group of a subject and a verb, which means that, and if I use that just by itself, it would function by itself independently. So that's an independent clause. Then I have but I'm not sure now. The word but in this particular case, it is the name that we give to this. It is a coordinating conjunction. So it tells me that the idea, the clause after that, it is an independent idea as well. It is not establishing any kind of dependence with the other sentence that we have seen. So these are 2 independent clauses, and then the second clause is introduced by a coordinating conjunction. The coordinating conjunctions, if you want to remember these are the fanboys: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. So if we take a look there, and let's imagine I would say, I used to know, but I'm not sure now. And I finished there. So if I had that, that's what I would call a compound sentence. We have 2 independent clauses connected by 1 coordinating conjunction. Cool? Now, when I take a look at the other part of the sentence, what I was made for. Now, in this particular case, the word what, it is functioning as a subordinating conjunction. So what it's telling me is that, hey, the information after this cannot be alone. So when we think about subordinating conjunctions, the list is longer than the coordinating conjunctions, but we could get started with the word rabbits. So like a rabbits, but then you replace the R with the W. We're thinking about with the W, what, where, when, who, how, so question words that we would potentially use. We have after, before, because, if, though, and since. So every time that we start a sentence or we start an idea with these words, you are communicating, hey, this idea cannot be alone. It establishes a relationship of subordination. So we call them subordinating conjunctions. So if I had the sentence, I used to know what I was made for, what we think about here is that this is an affirmative sentence. What I'm using to connect 2 sentences, so I immediately go to my regular order for affirmative sentences that I have to use: subject, verb, object. So I was made for. So that's why we have that inversion in the I was. If I say was I, this is the structure of an object question. But if I was, this is the structure of an affirmative sentence, and the word what is functioning as a subordinating conjunction. So if I have, I used to know what I was made for, the name that we give to that is a complex sentence. I used to know what I was made for. This is what we call a complex sentence. Now, we put those two together and we build, I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. The name that we give to this, a compound complex sentence. It's kind of the fourth type of sentence that we have in the English language. It is a way that we have to think about ideas and think about language as a puzzle that we're building instead of thinking about translation of word by word. All right, so we went over the rules. We saw that we have, okay, simple, compound, complex, but what does that mean in the context of the sentence? So in this case here, you see, I used to know. When we use used to, it's something that is a routine or a habit that we have in the past. So I used to know. So I had the information, I had knowledge in the past. But, which gives us the idea of something that is opposite or something that is contrary to. So, but I'm not sure now. We go into a negative sentence. I'm not sure now, not sure, indicating that we don't have a lot of certainty about this, talking about the present moment. And then I have what I was made for. What being usually a question word, but in this particular case, functioning as a conjunction, what I was made for. So I had information about my purpose. I thought I knew what my purpose was, but I'm not sure now. And then right after that, immediately after that is the question, what was I made for? So it is a true moment that the character faces their reality, their journey of having a previous knowledge, thinking about the knowledge somehow is not correct anymore, and that at this particular time, they don't understand their purpose. And right after that, it will be, well, but what is my purpose? And that really brings back to other moments of the lyrics of the song, especially when we talk about, let's see if I can go back, when we have here, because I don't know how to feel, but I want to try. I don't know how to feel, but someday I might. So very powerful types of message in using not necessarily very complex language in terms of sentence construction, but still a good level of complexity when we think about building a longer sentence that is communicating a lot of meaning, even if it's using a little bit more like higher frequency, simpler words in some type of way. And you will see here that taking a drive, I was an ideal, looked so alive, turns out I'm not real. So in this particular case, we take a look at the construction turns out. So looked so alive, looked is something that gives me an impression. It's not necessarily something that is, but something that has a visual, a certain perception that it is alive, and then I'm not real. So you see that you have two opposite sides here, and it's being connected with the construction turns out. So turns out is to come to the realization of something, to find out something that you thought was real, but it's not. So usually we think about turn, like turn the page, for example, but in this particular case, it's almost like the idea of turning, it's more like a revelation of something that now it's the reality. So looked so alive, turns out I'm not real. So this song, all in all, it's very effective in so many different ways. It really brings the sadness of the character. It becomes very relatable in terms of moments that we are down and we are wondering exactly what is it that we are doing with our lives. And then at the same time, it really helps us with longer vowels and connected speech. So now I have a challenge for you. Let's keep on going into these ones. Back. So here what we have are three groups of sentences. And what I would like you to think about is how is it that you would connect these three sentences and form one compound complex sentence. You can write those in the chat. I thought I was streaming. Can you think about that? You can write those as comments, and also you can go into our community and get the answers right away. Folks, you can take a look at www.secondnatureenglish.ca for more information on our online courses and our online classes as well. I hope you enjoyed this class in Billie Eilish talking about sounds, words, rules, and communication by teacher Leo from Second Nature English. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.